Hello, friends, and welcome back for day 4. Today, we're going to talk about wearing your shapes. We've talked about the shapes we see all around us. We've talked about shapes in nature. But what about being able to wear your shapes? Let's start with a page from our book. The stage in the park where the instruments sing. Some shapes in the city are ovals that swing. Well, today we too will be making something ovular, if you like. I was thinking what we could do are make some pendants out of air dry clay. And those pendants were inspired by these ovals swinging in the sky. Another part of inspiration for this project was the artist Frank Stella. Frank Stella was born in 1936, and he's still alive and probably making art for all we know. But something that I thought was really interesting about his art, and he does a lot of different kinds of things, but some paintings that he has done are very geometric. They're very much shape-oriented, but they involve both round shapes and lines at the same time. And it's almost like an optical illusion how these two combine. I just find it very interesting. And I thought when I looked at some of his art, when I was trying to come up with ideas for this camp, I thought I would wear that as a print on a dress or a bracelet or a necklace or some earrings. I really liked how those shapes and colors came together, so much that I thought they'd be fun to wear. Do you have anything that you wear on a regular basis that has big, bold shapes in it, or maybe even subtle ones? What are you wearing right now that might have shapes on it? Do you see anything? I think you should get your sketchbooks out and see if you can find something that you're wearing or maybe a friend is wearing and sketch some of those shapes out. I want you to be thinking about what feels good on your pencil, what feels good for your hand to make, but also think about what shapes you really like and what you would want to wear. Take some time right now to sketch in your book, and then when you're done, come back around and we'll move on to the next part. Now, what I have for you for your air dry clay pendants is in your big art bag, there should be a big chunk of air dry clay. You can divide that equally among all the people that are participating, and then it's up to you if you want to use your whole piece of clay at once or if you want to make several small ones. But what you're going to do is you're going to create a shape. The examples I have here are circular. They're not exactly ovals, but they're more circular. But you're going to want to you can make roll your clay in a ball and squish it flat. If you want, you can use any of the tools in your art kit, like marker tips, or you can use a scissor edge to make designs in your clay by pressing gently. You can put a hole with your pencil tip into the clay so that as it dries, you have a place to put your elastic cord. And then once it dries, all you have to do is leave it set out in the open air and it will dry. You don't have to put it in the oven. But once it's set, then you can go ahead and put some marker color on it. If you want to experiment and see what happens, you can draw on your clay before it dries. You can see what color the marker might end up being, if the clay absorbs some of the marker or if it stays on the top. That's up to you. If you don't care for the elastic that came with your kit, that's okay. You could use anything around your house to substitute as string, as long as it fits the hole, string or yarn, what have you. So that is what you're going to do to make your art. Something that I think is interesting is that those kind of oval round shapes reminded me of these two statues that sit outside the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art. Now, these two statues were made by the artist June Kaneko, and he does a lot of different kinds of public art installations. So these two colorful pieces on the right-hand side are right outside the Cedar Rapids Public Library, right across Green Square Park. So if you have the chance to visit the museum, or if you have the chance to visit the library, you don't even have to go inside the museum to see these. Something is really interesting is that June Kaneko was born in Japan, but he now lives in Omaha, Nebraska. That's kind of interesting, I think. Most of his works that I found are really big like this. And so I think it's really interesting, the idea of sculpting something so much bigger than you are, but also as people that get to observe it, we get to walk around and be, I won't say overwhelmed, but I think it's so interesting, especially as a grown-up, to feel so small against these pieces of art. I don't know, is it the same for you for if you're a child? Because you might be shorter than I am. You might be taller, that's true. But maybe you should take a walk someday down by the library and see how it feels to be up next to these big sculptures. Just something to think about. Also, across from the library in Green Square Park are giant circles. They're big silver circles, which is an outdoor art installation. I think it would be interesting for you to walk through there as well. So maybe when you're done with your air dry clay pendant, or you could use it to make a bracelet. I should have said that before too. Whatever you want to make it into, think about all the different ways that circles occur in nature. You might want to get that sketchbook out, and you might want to just take a look around outside and look for all the circles or ovals that you could possibly find. I think that's a good amount to keep you busy for today. I hope you have fun with today's projects. And until then, we'll see you next time.